Let's take a break from arguing about spreadsheets and talk about hand traps. Hey guys, Otaku back with another video, and today we're going to be doing another hand trap tier list because Alliance Insight has officially dropped, and on top of that, YCS Providence has just concluded, so there's a lot to talk about. We're only going to be talking about hand traps. I'll try and do like a board breaker-esque video in the future, or just more non-engine cards that just like realistically are not being activated from your hand typically, but are being used to like break boards or along those lines. Before we do jump on into the video though, I have noticed that a great deal of you that watch my videos are not currently subscribed to the channel, so if you like competitive based content, tier lists, in-depth guides, and more, consider subscribing to the channel, but also leave a like on this video and comment down below that you did. Also on top of that, if you want to continue to further support the channel, consider joining my community Discord, following me over on Twitch, and using my TCG affiliate link. All links will be in the description down below. Alright, so pretty much no further hand traps have been added to this tier list since the last time we talked about them, because not really any new like super crazy tech going on right now, at least in terms of hand traps. So the tiers are main deck every time. These are the hand traps that are probably your best option, and you will be seeing 3 ofs at least in every single deck list that tops. Top contenders, these are good hand traps, but are not always being played in every single deck, whether because the deck can't run it or realistically just doesn't make the cut, but also has the ability to still perform very well in the current format, just may not be getting looked at. Side deck exclusively are hand traps that are self-explanatory. They are 9 times out of 10 going into the side deck, and if they are in the main deck, it probably just doesn't make any sense. And not the format. These are hand traps that will not be seeing play this current format, just simply because now's not their time to shine, or really ever, because maybe it's just a bad hand trap. And then we have the Malice tier, because Lancia and Chaos Hunter are not worth talking about in any of these other tiers, because they're only here for Malice. But they are still like worth talking about in general. Between the two of them, I think Lancia is still just the better option, because it is a blanket effect for the whole turn and is unoutable if they don't open the one of Called By or the one of Crossout. Whereas Chaos Hunter, Malice is looking for ways to out this. They have Bomber Dragon, they have Nightmare Cerberus. There's ways to out this card, so it's not like the biggest threat. However, certain deck lists that did not top at YCS Providence had no way to out this. And I think that's really what was the difference between the people who topped and the people who didn't, was the people who prepared for Chaos Hunter. So again, they're only here because Malice is in the format. If Malice wasn't in the format, these probably wouldn't even be on the list. To start, I think right now, Ash Blossom Joyous Spring is just like one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. This card has been a 3 of in every deck for the longest time since its release, essentially. The only exception has been like 1 or 2 formats, like tier format, where it really wasn't that effective. And it's just really because Ash Blossom just covers so many bases. It covers so many of the most common forms of interaction Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is adding cards to hand, sending cards to the graveyard, drawing cards. Like Ash just covers like all of like the 3 main bases of interaction in Yu-Gi-Oh! And because that, again, it's just kind of main deck every time. Should have probably put these in order because I want to talk about all the Charmies in one go. Fool Loss right now is like a main deck every time, mainly because it's just like the best Mole Charmy right now. The thing here is there's actually like a lot of decks right now that can play around the Fool Loss. The deck that Fool Loss hits the hardest right now in the current format is going to be Malice and probably like Water. But realistically, like Purulia covers Water a little bit more, and we'll talk about Purulia here in a minute. But Fool Loss, that like there's just a lot of decks that can play like around it. Like with Ryzeal, at most they can give you like 2 draws, because if you go Ryzeal Ice and they chain Fool Loss, then you know they're getting a draw for that, and then you go into Detonator and pass, then you give them 2 draws just from that alone. Mitsurugi doesn't really play in this a whole lot because they don't have to summon from the deck, especially with like the new support. They don't have to. Like if you go Habakiri and then you go Fool Loss, then you know you're getting a draw off of that. But overall, like Fool Loss, yes, is still an incredibly good card, and yes, is like in everybody's main deck at 3, but I can see an argument to not run it because a lot of decks right now can dodge it. And then we're going to bridge into Purulia, which I think is like on the same level as Fool Loss 4 in terms of strength. The thing is that Purulia still hasn't found its way into everyone's main deck at 3 because everyone's kind of a toss-up between Fool Loss or Purulia. I personally think Purulia is stronger in the current format because Malice, their normal summon, they have backup, they have Wizard, they have Bystials, they have March Hare, they have a bunch of ways to summon from the hand. And on top of that, you know, White Force is still in the format and they summon from the hand a lot. Mitsurugi summons from the hand a good bit. Ryziel summons from the hand non-stop. So Parulia, I think, is like arguably a main deck staple at this point and could possibly shove Fool Loss into the side deck because Parulia is covering a lot more bases right now. We did see at YCS Providence a lot of people main decking both of them. If you can fit it, go for it. But I think Parulia, in my personal opinion, is stronger than Fool Loss right now. That being said, in terms of like a just generalized look at things, Fool Loss is definitely still the mainstay 3 of in everybody's main deck, whereas Parulia is starting to get there. In terms of Meows, Meows I think is a side deck exclusive. Meows is not covering enough bases in the current format to be relatively powerful against like every deck to argue putting it in the main deck at a 3 of. The only decks this is hurting the most is like Malice and Mitsurugi. Every other deck can kind of play around this. On top of that, there's some people who just aren't playing it in the side deck at all because Lancia and Chaos Hunter cover those bases just fine. So Meows is like side deck exclusive for sure. Retaliating C, it's not his format, and same with his little brother Contact C. These are just not their format right now, so we're not going to really go deep into it. Dominus Purge is a top contender for being just like one of the mainstays in every deck. The problem is not every deck can play this, so the only deck right now that's like really playing this is Blue Eyes, and as we saw at YCS Providence, Blue Eyes is starting to fall off. In terms of the Dominus cards though, Impulse is also a top contender. I can't put it in main deck every time because not every deck can run this. In fact, the only deck in the current format that can run this is Malice, but both these cards are still insanely powerful cards. If you can play them, you're going to be playing them most likely in the main deck at 3. So I think because of that, we are going to put them in the main deck every time because if you can play them, you are playing them. Simple as that. Ghost Mourner, I kind of have to say, is not the format for Ghost Mourner. There's not a lot of decks like Ghost Mourner is heavily impactful because by the time Ghost Mourner becomes like relevant in the current format, like if you're going against Malice, for example, like by the time Ghost Mourner is relevant there, they already have a trap on board so that they can dodge it. And on top of that, Malice doesn't really care if they lose life points because they are already doing it with their own cards and they can gain life later. And on top of that, like Ryziel is probably like the most impactful version, but they have Star Ryziel now so they can get to the field spell. So it's like you can't even hit them with Ghost Mourner on the duo drive because they'll just negate it on resolution. So Ghost Mourner this doesn't feel like Ghost Mourner's format currently. I want to talk about Nib and Droll side by side right now because both of them are main deck at 3 every time. However, they are a kind of a toss-up, and I think because of that, we're seeing them probably as top contenders, mainly because we're seeing one or the other. If you look at all the lists at YCS Providence, they are either running 3 Droll and no Nib or 3 Nib and no Droll. And the one that isn't in the main deck gets thrown into the side deck. So Droll is very powerful in the current format because Droll can slow down Malice because if they don't have the Ad Ignister cards, then they are not getting to them essentially. On top of that, Malice, you know, plays Allure Darkness, they play the AI Meet You, they play a bunch of ad spells, so they can be slowed down. It doesn't kill them, but it does slow them down a little bit. They make slightly weaker end boards, and also Droll plus another hand trap is heavily impactful against Malice. It also hurts Mitsurugi because they like to do a lot of adding. It hurts pure Mitsurugi a little less, and it hurts Ryziel Mitsurugi a lot. Hurts Ryziel entirely. It hurts Water. It hurts a lot of decks. Droll is very prevalent in the current format. It's also like the counter against the Mulch armies because if you get hit with a Mulch army, then you can give them one draw, Droll them, and just combo off from there. So you give them one draw. Nib, if you decide to play Nib instead, Nib is high impact right now. A lot of people are not respecting Nib. Even the Malice players are not respecting Nib because they think they are just completely safe with the Ad Ignister cards, but you nib them before they get there and they don't have a way to play after, you should be good. Problem is like Malice can play around Nib. If they get to the Ad Ignister cards or they open it first and you nib them and they just go Link Spider, then you just continue playing. So a lot of people at YCS Providence were choosing one or the other, and the one that didn't make it into the main deck got thrown into the side deck. So I think it does come down to personal preference, but these are very, very powerful cards, and you should be playing at least one of them. Ghost Spell. We did see some Ghost Spell success at YCS Providence. Ghost Spell has a spot in the current format, I think. It does hurt a good amount of stuff. Ghost Spell hurts Bystials, it hurts March Hare, it hurts GWC, it hurts the allied code talker. It hurts like everything Malice, essentially. It hurts Wizard. On top of that, it hurts Mitsurugi when they try to bring themselves back. You can just bell them and it negates the add and the summon back. It can negate the mirror because mirror can summon from the graveyard. Bell hurts a good amount of stuff right now in the current format, and we did see people running it at YCS Providence at a 2 of or a 3 of in the main deck. I don't think it's a main deck every time card because not everyone was playing it, but I do think Ghost Bell has found its spot in the current format to be respected. Bystials. So in the past, I've looked at Magnemite versus the other Bystials because Magnemite usually is in a league of his own, but they're all kind of in the same spot in the current format. Like, yes, Mag can replace himself, which obviously makes him a little bit better than the others, but we're going to clump them all together because Mag isn't making that much bigger of an impact than the other 3 are. So Bystials in general, it's just Malice playing Bystials at this point, and even some lists are not playing Bystials because they just see too much value in March Hare. So I think Bystials are still top contender. Like, Fiendsmith is still cards that need to be respected. Mitsurugi cards can be, banished from the graveyard before they come back. So Mag is like, or Bystials in general are just still good. However, some people are opting to cut this. Some people are just choosing that it's no longer needed. Malice players are even starting to think that maybe these aren't needed, but they're extenders in Malice. So I think they're still top contenders. I don't think we put them in the main deck every time because some people have chosen not to. The Psy Frames, it's not their format. We're just going to keep talking about Psy Frames not being their format. Delta saw some play back in like Snake Eye format, and Gamma will probably not be seeing play till Gamma comes back to 3. It's really hard to justify running Gamma when you have to run Driver with Gamma, and Gamma's at 1. So why are we going to run one hand trap that is only live if we have no cards on the field plus a brick? It's hard to justify that. Imperm, I don't really need to talk about Imperm. Imperm's a main deck 3 of every time. Like, if you're not playing Imperm, then you're probably just playing board breakers. Even then, Imperm can play as a board breaker at the same time. It's not a monster effect, so it's not proccing Talents, which even then Talents is a 1 of. So do we really even respect Talents anymore? Like, again, like Imperm. On top of that, Imperm, since it's a trap, can play very well with the Dominus cards because if you Imperm first and then you use Purge or Impulse second, you have a trap in your graveyard so it can destroy cards. So Imperm is just always like a 3 of. Called By is top contender. I can't say it's main deck exclusive because not everyone is playing it in the main deck, but it is Malice's way of outing Lancia on top of Crossout. I don't have Crossout in here. I forgot to put it in here, but I would put it in the same spot as Called By at this point because they're both 1-ofs, and they both fill the same purpose. Called By is seeing itself getting put into the side deck, so I can't put it in main deck every time. Malice players are mainly side decking this because they just need to win game 1, because winning game 2 and 3, they're up against a lot higher odds of losing with like Lancia and Chaos Hunter being sided in. So they prioritize game 1, so they're not playing Called By to hopefully not see as many bricks. Like, Called By, yes, is not necessarily a brick, but it's not engine either. Same for Talents. I really want to put Talents in the main deck every time, simply because it is it's a 1-of. Like, at this point, we have a power trio of 3 1-ofs, the Called By, the Talents, and the Crossout Designator, where everyone's saying, like, oh, you have to be running all 3 of these in the main deck. Meanwhile, at Providence, I don't think we saw Crossout, like, in any deck lists, and Called By and Talents, and a lot of them were in the side or non-existent at all. There were a lot of topping lists that didn't run Talents at all at YCS Providence. So overall, I think we still put them in top contenders because, again, Malice is trying to win game 1. And we're not trying to base this off just Malice, but like Malice is like the leading force, even though it didn't win YCS Providence. But there are still plenty of decks that are running Called By and the Talents in the main deck every time. But I'm just basing it off like Malice simply because, they are a good chunk of the format as well. Valor, I kind of have to say, is not Valor's format right now. I personally think Valor only saw a lot of play simply because Blue Eyes was in the format and Valor was Blue Eyes combo, or like a part of Blue Eyes combo. Being able to be searched off a Sage was also a plus, so that way Blue Eyes players could do combo and search a hand trap so they had further interaction on your turn amongst the board they are applying to the field. So yeah, I kind of can't say that this is really Valor's format. Like, there's not a lot of target negation that really matters, and even then, why use Valor when you can use Imperm, which pairs well with the Dominus cards? And if you're playing Malice, Valor is pointless anyways because you're playing Impulse and you don't want to have to pair impulse that, you know, stops light monster effects from being a thing when we're already playing Droll and Nib in the main deck, and impulse also hurts those. So you have to be smart with impulse and malice, and why further extend that into Veiler when if you're going to play a light hand trap, might as well just play Nib, which is a whole lot bigger impact. Winter Cherries, I don't think it's Winter Cherries format anymore. It had a short spurt there when like Detonator went to 1 and we were like, yes, let's just kill Detonator. And then Metaltronus was kind of just the more popular version, and Cherries was like the budget version. I don't think we're in that format anymore. It was beautiful while it lasted because I had 3 ulti Cherries. It was beautiful, but it's not Cherries format anymore, boys. Let's just pack her up. Thrust, I don't think is a main deck card right now. And I kind of want to say it's like not Thrust's format. There were some people who were playing at YCS Providence Thrust and the new Dominus card that searches Dominus cards to be able to like have a monster negate and then on top of that search the Dominus card, and then because you have a trap in graveyard, like it was a cool little combo, and I do think that it's a really cool thing, and it'll probably be played further going forward. But Thrust is super situational, and I kind of want to say Thrust is a side deck exclusive, but like the floodgates you're searching off this card like DD Ground or D Barrier don't feel as impactful as they have in past, because like Mitsurugi Ryzeal is such a huge threat. Neither of those floodgates do anything to Malice, and it's just they just don't feel as impactful. So I think it's like a side deck exclusive. We are seeing people run it in the main deck, but I do personally feel this is a side deck exclusive card if you choose to run it at all. Shifter, I can't believe I'm saying this because, oh my god, I never thought I'd get to say this. I don't think it's Shifter's format. I don't think there's a single deck in the current format Shifter does fucking squat to. Because if we look at it realistically, Malice doesn't care about Shifter. They were running it at one point. Pure Mitsurugi was running Shifter at 1, and they were siding Dimension Fissure. Ryzeal never cared about this. The only deck that cares about this is Water, and Water wasn't seeing a whole lot of success. Like, Fiendsmith cares about this, but it's at 1. And if we look at the list at YCS Providence, the only deck that can run this, like, realistically, or is going to want to run this is Malice, and they're not running this. Like, I'm pretty sure not a single topping Malice list ran Dimension Shifter. So buy Shifter. Hopefully we never see you again. Spooky Dogwood, this is one of those cards that even if it's not in the current format, I'm always going to put in side deck exclusive, because there's no way, shape, or hell you are playing it in the main deck unless you're playing Water exactly just to search it and like make sure you just don't die. But like this card just kind of comes in and out of the format. It's one of those things where it's like if people want to just exploit time rules, then they're going to use this card. It's not like a bad card, and I can't say it's not the format for it because there's not a format for this card. It's just people decide to use it when they decide to use it. So even then, it's a side deck exclusive. DD Crow, it is still not his format, because anything you want to be banishing from your opponent's graveyard is probably a lighter dark monster, so Bystials are just better. Even right now, like, there's not a whole lot of stuff you want to be banishing from your opponent's graveyard, minus like Mitsurugi monsters or Fiendsmith. And if that's the case, you should be running Bystials. And if you're running Bystials, you're probably playing Malice. Phantasme is kind of seeing a resurgence, simply because people are pairing this with the Mulch armies to get even more draws off. On top of that, it's good against the Malice matchup because they just put a bunch of guys on board. You summon it, draw a bunch of cards. It outs the Malice in the Mirror, which does target monsters. And on top of that, it's a body. It's a good card. It can help you find outs to what your opponent is playing. It helps you draw even more cards faster. Phantasme is seeing a resurgence, and he's not main deck, so I think we are seeing him in the side deck exclusively when we do see him. We are not seeing him in the main deck at any point, like ever. So yeah, we're gonna be putting him in side deck exclusive. Skullmeister, again, not his format. Like, what are we doing with this card? I don't think this card's ever coming back. Like, anytime this card would be good, there's a card that does his effect better. And Ghost Ogre, I really don't know where to put this card because we didn't see play at YCS Providence. We have not seen this card getting put in the side deck anywhere, but it's a good hand trap, so I don't want to say it's not the format for it. That being said, I'm gonna put it in that tier because, again, I feel like anything this card you want this card to do, Bell actually does better right now. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, use this to out the allied code. Well, one, allied code usually is pointing at a link monster by the time he hits the board, and that's if they're even playing it. They might be playing Bomber Dragon. But two, Bell just does better against allied code. Now, the Ogre could probably be better against Bomber Dragon, but like at that point, they're already nuking your board, so you know, there's that. And like you could also use this against water with the Coral Anemone, but as we saw at YCS Providence, water's not really doing anything. Ryzeal, they're probably negating it with Cross because they already get Cross on the board by the time they have Duo Drive up. So you just go like Duo Drive and they go Ogre, and then you just negate on Resolution with the field spell that they got off of Star Ryzeal. Just there's not a good spot for this card right now. And, you know, that's, yeah, kind of disappointing, but it is what it is. And that's really it for the hand traps of the Alliance Insight format. Let me know down in the comments down below what you all think, but also let me know if I missed a hand trap. I'm pretty sure I covered like all the bases, unless you really want to like talk about the nitty gritty of like the new Dominus card, because I could put that in here as well, but that would be like a side deck exclusive if I had to be honest. But also on top of that, don't forget to leave a like on this video, and if you're not already and like competitive based content, tier lists, and in-depth guides, consider subscribing to the channel. But with that, I'll see you all in the next video. See ya.